Welcome, Piyush. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Doing well as well. Thank you for asking. Awesome. Start करने से पहले can you tell the audience who you are, what you're building?
Okay. My name is Piyush Suri, and I'm the co founder of a brand called NOOE. We're building a personal luxury goods brand for India, from India. And we are very, very design led. And we want to go and build this very global first, borderless brand that you don't know where it is coming from just because the aesthetics and what we stand for and what we do is so attractive and something that people absolutely love when they see. And yeah, we want to take that to the world. We feel that Indian talent is in abundance, and we've never had the opportunity to go out and build this global first brand out of India. And we are very excited about that. And that's something that, from our vision, we want to make sure that Nu grows and is accessible to as many people in the world as possible.
So, how did this vision come to you? Like, what were you thinking when you were planning to start new?
Look, I would say that me and my co-founder Nitika, we are consumers first, and we are well traveled. We work globally as well, so we always felt there was a need for not just great products in India, but also there was a massive need for building brands from India. When you look at the last 30, 40 years, we've had Japan build global brands, and then Korea build global brands, and in the last decade, the Chinese have built global brands. We really believe that our time as a nation has come to now put India on the map with incredible brands and incredible companies. And yes, there have been more companies from India that are doing either services, tech. There have been Tatas and the Tanishq of the world that are now going global and have been global for a long time, but there's not been a single new age brand that is global. And that's the fun of being a founder, taking your dreams and putting them to going and building something what we call the big hairy audacious goals. And for the last decade or so that I've been a founder, one of my biggest learning has been that if you're going to do something, do it really big because it's exciting, it's daunting, and there are more challenges that come through it. And I really enjoy challenges. So for us to go out and say, what is the biggest thing that we can do? Can we build out this incredible global brand from India, that too in personal luxury goods? That was a very exciting challenge. So really, we're very motivated by that. That's something that excites us. That's something that also comes very naturally to us as people, as consumers of design, as consumers of nice things in life. And we thought that the amalgamation of it, right? India's juxtaposition in the world today in terms of what we do as a cultural superpower, the ability for Indians to now spend higher on consumer goods, our ability as a country from a talent pool point of view. I think it's a mix of everything, being at the right place, right time, bringing your skills, and making it really, really, audacious from a goal point of view. So, new is a result of all of these factors combined together.
Were there some inspirations you had?
Yeah, I mean, look, I really believe that the brands of tomorrow, or big brands of tomorrow, especially in the kind of Instagram and content game that we are in, the brands who do really well are going to scale taste. Okay. What that means is that when you are in a place where all the manufacturing lines are commoditized, anybody can go out and produce anything today, right? When you are in a world like that, which is highly broken, you'll see all the Chinese today are now coming out and saying that all the luxury goods from Europe are actually built in China, right? That's very, very trending now today. That means that the supply lines have become commoditized. Anybody can fly to China or India and go out and get things done. So what differentiates you as a brand? And so for us, it's about taking design and taste and scaling that, because that's a big value add and that's also unique to us. So we've thought about in terms of what does our taste look like as founders, what is our unique spin on design, and that's very important because that creates value. And ultimately, what is a large brand? A large brand essentially creates a lot of creative value by making great decisions, by curating a certain aesthetic and also implementing it, right? So for us, scaling taste or having this aesthetic is very clean, modern, minimal, but at the same time something that's very inspirational, because the whole brand is built around productivity and inspiration. And we wanted to go out and build that sort of brand that people look at, they say, oh wow, I want to experience this, and I'm happy to spend this price, because the kind of experience that it's going to give me by using this is going to be elevating my workflow, my creative process. And that's essentially where we are coming from. And our taste essentially is clean, modern, minimal, something that is clutter free, and that's what the brand stands for. And you'll see that in all the visual aspects that we do, that's remains very consistent for us.
You mentioned taste,
Yeah.
clean, modern, minimalistic.
Yeah.
But when we talk about design, what do you prefer? Do you prefer riding on trends, or do you prefer designing something which is timeless and can, stand the test of times?
See, for us, we want to build on a long term brand language.
Right.
And if you see all incredible brands that have a cult following, they will have a very, very consistent visual language and a design language. So for us to do that is very, very important. Like, what do we stand for? We don't play in trends. We play in long term design benefits. Build products that can be consumed over a decade. We want to go out and good design is timeless. And good piece of anything that you wear, either a watch or a anything luxury that you wear, that's timeless design. So for us, being timeless is very important. It's fact, that's the only thing that we do. We don't look at short term trends. And yes, you can incorporate short term relevancy, right? That's something that's important. And the way we do that is choosing the colors that we are doing. But as far as the product design is concerned, by itself, the silhouette of the product, the materials that we choose, that remains timeless. So I would say that great design is both. Majority of it is timeless, but at the same time, you do need to take into user trends into account. And it could be colors, it could be textures. Those are things that you want to take into consideration. And it's a healthy mix of both. More so is timeless, and a little bit is user trends and how things are seen. The color palette, as I said, the texture, sometimes it could be a variation of the material. Size itself is also slightly more short term, because user habits change over a period of time. Today I want a big bag, and because I want to fit everything else in, tomorrow I may want something more sleeker. So I think those things are slightly more trend based. But we definitely do not make products for short term trends. We don't make products something which is in trend today because some celebrity is wearing that. That's something that we don't do. And I think that most global brands who are very successful and have a cult following don't do that as well.
So tell me, Piyush, how can a young brand, a new brand, build that cult following and, build that audience that every time they launch, they sell out?
So creating this inner virality and inner remarkability of a product or a brand is more science than an art. Okay, what I mean by that is that you have to really think about different aspects of building this brand, starting from what is it that you bring to the open marketplace, from where do you stand, how differentiated you are, how you're going to execute it, what's your brand positioning look like, right? What is your story? And then ultimately, what's your execution on the story in terms of how do you package that story? How do you tell somebody on why you are so special? And humans inherently shy away or are repelled when you talk about your own self, right? Like if you go out and say, hey, I'm a luxury brand, buy from me, and this is what I do, people don't like that, right? So the packaging of the story and the way you actually go out and communicate is even more important. The inner remarkability of a brand, or how the virality is, or making people fall in love with you, is more of an engineering feat of making sure all of these little ingredients are packaged together. And so, for example, for NOOE, we thought about NOOE for a year and a half, not just on the design aspect, but what do we really stand for? And what is it that we are going to do? How we are going to do it? How we're going to be different? How we are going to be relevant to the people, but at the same time differentiate in terms of the kind of product design, aesthetic, the storytelling that we're going to have. There's a lot of strategy, a lot of work that goes into it. So it's almost like, as I said, it's more almost like a science, because you really cannot depend on chance. These are things that not just happen on their own. This is not just creative or artistic execution. There's a lot of brand strategy that goes into it, and we want to think about all of these things. Not just that, but we continue to evolve. We continue to learn more about our own brand, our own audience, and what we mean to them. So keeping your ears on the ground, listening to the audience in terms of what they are telling you, how they are perceiving things. And it's a constant work. So put all of these things down, as I said, the vision in terms of what is it that you stand for, the brand, what is it, the value that you're going to add, how you're going to be different, what your positioning is going to be from a brand point of view, what your story is going to be, how you're going to package that story. All of these little elements, if you can think about and really put together, then you ultimately get something which is very unique. It also is very relevant to the user, and people inherently then fall in love with something that's original, differentiated, very well thought through. And this is something that we always sort of most brands or most founders, in my opinion, underestimate the amount of work, the strategy behind the brand goes to. Things shouldn't be left on chance. It's not something, I like this product, let me start selling it, or like this is how it's going to be. There's a lot of thought and thinking that goes through it. I think that's the foundation of it. It's more important than the products that you launch. So for us, the strategy of the brand and everything that we do has to be very intentional, and that is way more important than what we launch as well from a product point of view.
Okay.
And because that's a template that we can go out and continue for the next 10 years. We can still change the products that we're launching. We can't change the brand. We can't change what we stand for. And that should remain over the next 20, 30 years in terms of our belief.
So, running a design led brand, how do you, as a founder, differentiate or rather give weightage to design and the business aspect of things?
I always say that running a good consumer brand is conducting an orchestra. Okay, what that means is that there are many instruments that are there, and you have experts on your team who are doing different things. But ultimately, for an orchestra to make music, everybody needs to be in sync. Okay, right. And what is more important, business or creativity or design, etc.? I think it's very subjective to every brand. I would say that everybody needs to be in sync with that. The design and the business need to be in sync. If we are going to go out, and so giving you an example for that, we launched our first collection, which was the desk collection, and we were very focused on the design. We were very artistic in our execution. We weren't so focused on the business side of it in terms of supply chain, in terms of so many things. Also, because we were experimenting, it was our proof of concept of the brand. We wanted to just go ahead and launch. When we did that, we also realized a lot of aspects on the business and the supply chain side. We learned all that. We used that knowledge to launch the second collection. We also looked at what was so good about our first collection, which was bundled products. We wanted to do stationery. We wanted to also make it compact. But at the same time, the materials that we choose, the price points, the margin structure, all of that something we were thinking about when we were designing those products. So we were learning about the business, even though from a creative and design point of view, we were hitting in the same kind of a league, and we were designing in the same approach, but our business understanding and the knowledge was also becoming much better. And great brands happen when you actually mix design with business all together, because ultimately you're in the business of selling things.
Correct.
Right? You want to make sure that you give a great value to the user, but at the same time, you also want to make sure that you have enough margin to pay the bills and to actually invest it back in the business to sort of grow it. Both are very important. And we think of both things together, not in silos. When we are designing something, we're thinking about the business, we're thinking about the amount of market that this particular product is going to have. We're also thinking about what the margin structure is going to be, or thinking about what are the kind of things that we're going to talk about, what the feature of the product is going to be. We think very deeply before we start thinking about designing a product. We think about the brief, the features, the margin structure, the materials, all of that is locked. That's when the design starts. And after that we launch, the business side becomes a lot more easier, because the product design inherently captures the business understanding that we put into the product. So the product becomes easier to sell. So these are not two different things that are done in silos. The business planning happens before and after and during the design phase as well.
So is high-end luxury D2C products, design-led products, a high margin business?
Yes. I mean, I would say that when you're trying to sell something to few people, it has to be a little bit high margin, because the other playbook is to make it low margin and make it accessible to everybody and sell mass.
Right.
We're not in the business of selling mass products. We're in the business of selling very tasteful, very elegantly designed, high quality products. For that, we also need to make sure that we have great materials and everything. And a high end brand or a personal luxury goods brand has a lot of cost structure to it. So yeah, the gross margins have to be higher in terms of for us to do well, but at the same time our cost structure in terms of the kind of things that we have to do, for example, creating high quality content just costs us much more money, right? So all of that goes from our gross margins.
Right.
So it has to be to make the business viable and to make it successful.
But then how does one build a brand which caters to only a select few group of people and serve them? How do you position yourself? How do you bring that premiumness in your brand?
Yeah, that's a lot of creative execution, in the sense that you have to know your audience really really well. You have to understand what moves them, what makes them take the action, what's the emotional trigger that these people are going to have to be able to want to buy that, right? Ultimately, selling a personal luxury good or selling products that are at a premium design level is not about offering value for the product. It's about connecting to the values of the consumer. And that's a big difference. Okay. Because if I were to come and say, hey, buy this, is great value, this is cheap, and you'll get more for all of this is one way to sell it. The other way to sell it is, this is what we have, and here is why we have designed it, what we thought about while designing it. This is what we really believe in. So what I'm doing is I'm connecting to your values. I'm not offering you a value.
Right.
And that's the difference between a mass product and a premium luxury product.
So why do customers buy from NOOE? What is your differentiator? What is your value that you add to your customer?
So our values are very very design inherent, in the sense that whatever that we do, we think deeply about the product. We take a lot of time to craft out the product. Every little detail that we are thinking about, the way we go out and do it, has been thought about. We also have a certain amount of certain kind of a visual design language, which is very very new as a brand. When you go to our website or our Instagram, or the kind of things that we do are very visually consistent. We really like to take that aesthetic to the user, right? Aesthetic, taste, design, the quality that we do, the materials that we do. So it's essentially just put all of that together in terms of what we believe in. And we believe in great design is inspires you to do your better work. We believe in building out, as far as a clutter free workspace, using products that are just aesthetically well pleasing. The experience of the product, the features that we put in, productivity is a very big angle in terms of our product line. We want to empower, make sure that when you take a new product and you're doing your best work, you feel good about that, right? That feeling essentially is where NOOE is based off.
So let's say somebody, a 20 something year old, is very creative. They have a design thought process, but they are stuck in 9 to 5. So how can they pivot from their daily job to starting something of their own, making their first money from design?
Ah, okay. Many, this question has many parts to it, right?
Mm.
Like how they're creative and then they are stuck in 9 to 5 job. I would then ask themselves in terms of if that is not what their calling is, then do they want to rethink about their career choices? Then you also mention about how do they go out and start practicing design on their own. I also believe that if you want to practice design and you want to make money of it, you don't necessarily have to do something on your own. You can do either ways, right? So many parts to this question that you asked me, but I'll just sort of simplify it, right? How do you use design? How do you look at creativity as moving away from your mundane life, mundane work life, right? I always have believed that everybody is born creative. Okay. And everybody's born creative just the way everybody is born an athlete. If there are certain people who know how to run, are physically slightly better, and they run slightly better than other people, not necessarily makes them an Olympian, right? What I mean by that is there are certain kind of skills that you're born in, or certain kind of DNA or body structure, or maybe a mental skill that you're born with. You're gifted, right, as we like to call it. But you still have to take that and work on your craft, become better, and really practice and really become better at what you do. So no matter where you are born with in terms of creativity or design, a lot of people say that we are very creative, this person is very creative, I feel very creative. I believe everybody is creative. It could be very different scales that they have the skill in, but at the same time we still have to go out and work on that craft, work on that skill. And creativity is so many different things. Some people write, some people paint, some people draw, some people can imagine, some people are very creative in solving problems, solving puzzles. You really have to first identify what kind of creativity do you connect with most. And the problem is that creativity has a very one-sided understanding in our society. If you're not able to draw, you people think that you're not very, very creative. That's not how it is, right? Drawing or painting something is one kind of creativity. There are so many other kinds of creativity in terms of storytelling, composing a poem, creativity with words, creativity with visuals, creativity with imagining things, but not necessarily being able to draw something. You have to identify on what kind of creative you are. Then you also have to figure out on how are you going to work on that craft. And the only way to work on any skill is to practice and practice more, right? So that was the second thing, right? You identify something that you really enjoy doing, practice on that craft, benchmark, learn, immerse yourself in people who are better than you, because some of the best learning comes from watching others and how they go out and do things. So you really want to immerse yourself with, learn about what are other people doing, how they are executing it, because it gives you a sense of what's out there. A lot of times you can't really be creative with the blinker on. You will need to be able to want to uh, get inspired by other people. So I would say that it's really a journey, and you want to put time and effort into practicing, learning from others, honing your craft, and then ultimately see in the marketplace what is it that you can take this as a skill. Are you going to work for a creative company and feel creative and do that? Are you going to be able to offer and package this creativity as a service? Because we live in a gig economy, and today you could be online and you could be doing something creative and getting paid for it. Yeah, those are the six avenues, right? So I would just divide it into three parts: understanding what kind of creative you are, focusing on that craft, learning from others, practicing, etc. Then understanding, packaging it in a way that you want to implement it. You don't necessarily have to be a founder or an entrepreneur to make money from creativity. You can be a freelancer. You can also work for other companies in a different role if your 9 to 5 is very mundane. Being a founder and starting your own business is not just about one skill. One of the hardest peoples that people don't realize that founders do is that founders have to juggle, especially early on, many things and become very good at many things. They have to be very good with sales, they have to be very good with people, then they have to be very good with the skill that they bring on. So it could be design, creativity, finance, tech, whatever that they have to do, right? Exceptional founders are polymaths. They are exceptional at many things at the same time. And it's not everybody's cup of tea. to be able to juggle that, right? So I wouldn't say being a founder and being a creative founder is something that you should do just because you think that's the way to make money. There's way more ways to make money using creativity other than being a founder.
Tell me, Piyush, how can somebody become more creative?
What do you really enjoy? And I think that a lot of times these things sort of speak to you from the inside, and you need to just listen to your own self, because a lot of us have something called intuition, like what we like to call it, right? And we like to use it in terms of judgment, but I like to use intuition in terms of telling me about myself, about as a tool of self awareness. And you use intuition as a tool of self awareness, and you start doing things, and you say, maybe I'm not good at this. Like, for example, I'm not good at drawing, but I do consider myself incredibly creative. And I identified that by doing something, by watching somebody else do it and being very inspired by that person, and said, wow, this is really amazing that this person is able to do it. Can I do that? And I struggled, but I persevered because I thought that I could do. So there has to be this inner belief that carries you through, because when you learn something new and you're working on your craft, even if it's drawing or something, the first few times you're going to do that, you're going to suck at it. And there's a saying called embrace the suck, right? Embrace the fact that you're not good at something. Embrace it, and still go on and work on it. The difference between people who play incredible music instrument and people who are unable to play a musical instrument is that the people who played or end up playing really well persevered through the fact and embraced the fact that they were not good at. And even if it's a guitar, sometimes we pick it up and we drop it because it's really hard, and the fingers hurt in the first few days. Some people are able to persevere it and then really push themselves through and become really good at that. Some people say, wow, this is really difficult, and I give up, right? At that time, you want to listen to your inner voice and say, do I give up at this particular time? Do I push on because I'm embracing this downward feeling of failing at something? And you really need to embrace that failure to be able to then become really good at that, and not depend on the fact that you think that you are creative. And that's the difference between, I would say, great creatives and people who think that they're creative. Um, the difference is this embrace of failure, understanding the fact that you may be creative, but you still need to go out and improve on that craft, become better, and persevere through that. And only then you'll be able to then, be very good at something, take that skill, and then keep repeating it, keep improving on it. You look at great players, you look at great sportsmen, you look at great actors, you look at people who are very successful at anything they do. They are extremely good at persevering things and not quitting when everybody else around them and they themselves sometimes are thinking that, what am I doing right now? Am I even doing the right thing? That downward spiral needs to be gotten out of, and you need to really go out and start working, because there is success at that just around the corner and we don't realize that. So go on a little bit harder, go on and have this self belief, and things start to change very, very fast after you start embracing it and you start becoming okay with that. A lot of people take failure to heart and to ego, and that's not great. And I feel that massive amount of success and massive amount of greatness and opportunity and so much more lay beyond this failure that stops us.
If we talk about pursuing design, pursuing your creativity, end of the day, you have to make money, right? So, what do you think in India right now? Can design pay well? Like, it can be about jobs, freelancing, starting your own company, but can design in general pay well in India?
Well, it's a it's a very tricky question, and the reason is I believe that Indian designers are not well paid, and I also know that the good designers are paid extremely well. So this is a bit of a uh, I would say this is a bit of a irony, right? Because there are many designers and there's a pool of lots and lots of designers today, creatives. There are so many more liberal arts schools in India today than there were 10 years ago. There are more liberal arts universities. There is more curriculum for design and artistic and creative abilities than there were before. So from one point of view, we've really progressed over the last 10 years. Not everybody is becoming a doctor and an engineer in India, right? People are a lot more open to alternative career choices and creative career choices, which is a great way forward. However, having said that, I also believe that the level of design coming from India is very spotty, in the sense that there's a very big gap between people who are really good at something and people the average median that is available in India today. I also believe in the next 5-10 years this is going to change drastically. And it's also because when you look at evolution of skill in any society, you will also see first not having options or not having curriculum or academic areas where people can go learn a particular skill. At least in the last 10 years, we have overcome that. Now we are overcoming this hurdle of skill building and becoming really world class at something. Some of the designers in large companies are paid phenomenally well. So when you look at companies that are doing incredible design work, Cred or Zomato, you will see that the designers there are paid really well. However, the median income, as far as the average pool of designers is concerned, is not that well paid. And why is that? I think there are two issues to that. One, as far as the skill is concerned, the skill of while there are so many opportunities academically available, the level of the skill that we currently have is not as high as certain other countries. I mean, I would say that there's a massive pool of creative talent even in countries like Indonesia or Thailand, for example. Those guys are inherently creative because they the academic areas, and they've been exploring creativity and being creative. Those are not countries where being doctor and engineer was first, right? Ours was one. So we've been very narrow minded in terms of our academic. We are opening up right now. Over the next 10 years, I believe that the level of design is going to considerably improve in the country. You will also have more. And the second part that I was mentioning is that people also don't understand good design, so they don't know how to value it, right? It's both the skill and the acceptability on the marketplace and the value that you get from the marketplace. In my opinion, both of that will rise. And the reason why people will start paying and understanding design more is because consumers are going to consume better design. When consumers are going to consume better design, then what happens is founders, creatives, and executives realize that good design is valuable. And that's the difference that we want to make as far as NOOE is concerned. We want to offer great design to people. We want them to experience, wow, this is what design looks like. It overall raises the level of accessibility to design in the society and the country, and people get more sensitized to it, which is good for everybody.
So let's say there's somebody in college, 20 something year old, and they want to make their first money with design. So what would you tell them to follow these particular steps so that they can make their first, let's say, X amount of money in a month from design itself?
So if you're a graphic designer today and you want to start making money from it, I would say that go ahead and build a portfolio. Very important. A lot of people don't do that. Go on Behance, put your work out there, improve on that work. A lot of times designers are bad marketers, or creatives are bad marketers, and you can't afford to be if you want to make money on that, right? You want to finalize, or you want to go out and excel at something. It could be, if you're a graphic designer, it could be making illustrations, it could be making logos, it could be making so many different things. Pick one thing that you really go out and enjoy. Do that 100 times over. The top 5 or 10 things, publish them out in the world, catalog it, showcase to the world. Behance and several other websites are incredible. Even Dribble, for example, are incredible to showcase your work. and you'll be surprised the amount of people that are going to look at it and come back and give you offer about, hey, can you do this for me, right? Go have a more collaborative, socialize online, on design networking websites, to put your work out there. Do some freelance work, even if it's for very little money or no money. The first few months is really about building a portfolio. That's very, very important. So because once you have a portfolio, it tells people in terms of what your capability is. It shows them that. It also gives them confidence, the fact that you can go ahead and do something, right? Think of it as a marketing activity. Think of it as something that you want to go out and sell. Like, it's any business or anything, right? You want to go out and offer something. So you have to really put this hat and ask yourself, what is it? You have a skill, sure. How are you going to package it? What is the offer going to be for other person to give you some money? And that's what you need to work on. I'm constantly amazed at there's so many people that apply at NOOE in terms of design and everything, and I would say 30% of them don't even have a portfolio. So I'm constantly amazed at this disconnect that designers and creatives have with this ability to at least market themselves, package themselves, build out a decent portfolio, mention about what you're really into, and avoid this mistake of being a designer, trying to do everything. Be very specific to what you have to offer. Is it a logo design? Is it an illustration? Even if it's an illustration, what kind of illustrations can you do? Is it hand sketches? Is it more clean? There's so many ways to do that, right? Like, you really have to find your niche. So find your niche, build out a portfolio, and do some projects, get few projects under your belt, then start building it, and going up the value chain, starting maybe with no money to initially to build out a portfolio. You start to really start making money and offer something. Everybody needs design today. Okay, your friends and family, everybody, somebody starting a business, somebody needs help with something. There are so many avenues to offer your services today as a creative person, like never before. Somebody would need a logo design service. I my mother used to run a boutique when I was in school. So what I did was I used to design logo for her, in, or even if it's just like a pamphlet on Word document, I would just go out and design that, right? Very simple things like that. That just gives you some exposure about what the consumer is what your client is maybe looking for, where can you add value. Be very value oriented, and take your skill and be very value oriented. Go out and build a portfolio, publish it online, think like a marketer. I would say all of these things, if you can start doing, go slow and steady in terms of building this out. Nobody's going to come and give you a massive amount of money just because they see that you can design. You need to really think of rising up the value chain, taking one step at a time.
Tell me, Piyush, what are some things you know now which you should have, or which you think you should have known at 20 years of age? Some hard things you've realized throughout these years.
I would say that when we are young, we give ourselves too much credit. Especially if you're a talented person, you give yourself too much credit, and you have this uh, confidence and overconfidence of getting things done. So I would say that is something that I would tell myself, that be a little bit more grounded and be more self-aware. And confidence is great, but at the same time, be also aware that you have a long way to go. So I would say that would be one thing that I would tell myself. The second thing I would tell myself is structured learning. Like, a lot of people who are inherently are gifted creatively, or are good at something, they become complacent about not focusing on their craft, not focusing on their skill. And this is a huge mistake. And while you may be good at something, and you may be better at most people, but you still go out to better at what you do and learn about that, right? Putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, and embracing that. As I said, embracing the suck, embracing the failure. Those are a couple of things I would tell myself. And the third thing is, take long term bets. Young people, one of the biggest mistakes they do is they do not take long term bets. They're thinking short term. even in career choices, the companies that they want to join, what do they want to do, everything has become our entire culture. And this is not the problem of this generation alone. Our entire culture has become very short term oriented in making decisions that are going to give me quick money, side hustle, going to make me rich overnight. This is something that I'm going to do. And this entire conversation of the society today is very short term. And I would tell myself that don't think short term. Careers are 3 4 decades long. You got to play a really really long game and not be impatient and want to become really really rich early on. This is a huge mistake that people have. So think of a decades long career. Make decisions that are going to be benefiting you in the long run. Short term may be a lot of pain, but it will result in a long term action. So these are 2 3 things I will tell myself.
What are some homegrown Indian brands in the design space that you admire? Are there any?
That's a very tricky question. um, I think that there are brands that I really like for the way that they are using design. And there are companies who have done phenomenal job with their aesthetic. I really admire Blue Takai, even though it's not a design brand, it's a coffee brand, but the consistency of their entire experience is remarkable. The way they take that brand design into their coffee and this entire thing is really good. There's a brand called Slurp Farm, which I really like in terms of the identity and what they stand for, the way they are communicating. Big fan of that. I'm a fan of Almost Gods, the fashion brand. I think that they really nail every aspect of the thing that they do, what they believe in. It's not a loud brand like most of the streetwear brands are. I think these are guys who are original thinkers. Some people that I really respect. Few other smaller ones, but yeah, these are things. These are brands that come on top of my head so far.
Awesome. On that note, thank you so much, Piyush, for coming here. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.